I've been doing apartment and fire cases now for almost 15 years. In the beginning, it was much smaller kind of cases and fires. And because of my experience and because I was doing that and because I know most of the players, we started getting more and more. And I think now I would think that we have more fire cases than any law firm in the city of New York. I mean, on one fire alone, I have over 100 people from the building. That's a fire that was on 181st Street in January in 2021. That was a door fire. We have 75 people from a fire in Yonkers, the Glenwood fire, which started because of a electrical heater, a baseboard heater, where the electrical system had been shorting out for a long period of time. The landlord was aware of that and did nothing about it. Fire occurred, the entire building went up. I represent 45 people from the Harlem explosion case, which goes back to 2014. I'm actually on the committee on what's called the committee on that case. That means that a judge has to determine what's the best lawyers, who's the most experienced lawyers to handle the entire litigation. There are 260 claimants in the Harlem explosion fire. We represent 40 of them. And that case was there was an explosion because of a gas pipe that was being worked on, and then there was a resulting fire. I think now we probably have over, I'm going to say probably 700 to maybe 1,000 clients who were involved in fires. And as I've said to many people, a fire case, it's just not like other cases. It's not like a car accident case. It's not like a slip and fall case. I mean, if you can, for a minute, think about the room that you're in 1 minute and everything's right there. And the next minute, the entire place is in shambles. You have no identification. You have no wallet. You have no phone. You have no money. You have no clothes. You have nothing. And you can't live in the apartment. And so that's what these people go through. And on top of that, other than maybe drowning, what fear people are involved in. Like I said to you before, I have people that are trapped on fire escapes, fires coming out of a window. They're on a fire escape trying to get down. Getting down a fire escape is a very difficult thing. I mean, I know they talk about it's a lifesaver, and yes, it is. But being out in a fire escape when there's a fire in a building and you're trying to get out and you got to go down that narrow, the narrow metal bars, it's a traumatic event. There is not a person, not one person that I've interviewed or been involved in who's been in a fire and doesn't suffer from some aspect of what we call post-traumatic stress disorder. Even months after the fire, they're living someplace else, they're in relative safety, they've gotten parts of their life back, a fire truck goes by, or they hear of another fire. They go back and flash back to their time, and their life changes because they're so worried about another fire. There's probably not a fire victim that I've been involved in that at night when they go to sleep, they put their things someplace where they know where they need to get if there's another fire. Or they have a packed bag, a piece of luggage that they have packed in the event of a fire to run out of the apartment with that package, with that luggage, so that their life is not totally upended again. It's just an incredible thing to go through. Unlike a slip and fall, you slip and fall, yes, you break your leg, yes. I'm not saying, and I'm not taking away from people who do that. Certainly it hurts, and there are cases involving that, and we represent those people as well. But a fire is just different because of the fear. I mean, the fear of a fire, of dying and getting burnt, goes beyond anything that I've ever seen or experienced. And the apartment experience, the loss of clothes and pictures and items of yours and TVs and shoes and everything that you take for granted on an everyday basis is upended in a fraction of a second. It just is. And their lives are so aggravating to get back their life to what it was. It's just a horrible experience. And so we represent these people. We send them for help because they need help. They need psychological counseling. They all do. We help them with their property damage because, listen, they all bought stuff. They all have goods. They have couches and TVs and jewelry and collections and whatever else they have in their apartment. It's just, it's a different kind of injury and it's a different kind of experience. And I actually feel for, listen, I've been doing this a long time. I'm a lawyer for 43 years already. I've seen almost everything there is to see in the legal business in terms of the personal injury business. And I will tell you that the first fire case, the first fire apartment that you go to and you see what was left, stuffed animals that are burnt. I saw goldfish that were basically frozen because it was a fire that occurred in the middle of winter and the building was half destroyed. And the goldfish and the fish were frozen in the tank. You just see things that you never, ever envisioned would occur. And certainly you don't want to happen to you ever again. So my experience with fires is it is exceedingly devastating to the people who experience it, even if they're, and I hate to use the word, simply having smoke inhalation, because the physical part sometimes is not as significant as the psychological component. And that psychological component, they have nightmares. The kids go to school, they start doing bad in school because they're thinking about it. They look at ways to get out of the building in case there's a fire. I mean, these are things that you don't do on a daily basis. You just go about your life and everybody else goes about their life. These people live it and they live it over and over again. And that's really the trauma of it all.